Hello, I'm Holly Daniels, meditation teacher and therapist, and I'm here to talk to you today about how to create a positive bias in your brain and in your life. How to create a paradigm for yourself in which you're focused on what is going well and what is going right. Focused on the relationships that feel good and supportive and are reciprocated, right? And finding ways to maintain a healthy sense of well-being throughout your days in your life. Now, this is a continuation of the last blog called You Are Not Crazy, in which I talk about negative bias, what it is, and what we can do to diminish the effect of negative bias. And I encourage you to look at that blog first because we're going to kind of pick up from where we left off in this blog, and you might want to catch up by seeing that one first. Negative bias, just for a quick recap, is our biological tendency for our brains to look for what is going wrong, to focus on what has gone wrong in the past, and to worry about what might go wrong in the future. And it exists just to keep us safe. It's a function of our brain that is actually trying to help us, right, by focusing on what has caused us pain and what might cause us pain so that we can look out for that and try to avoid pain in the future. But unfortunately, in our modern day world, we don't need this negative bias so much, and it causes a lot of depression and anxiety, especially when we really get caught up in negative bias. So the first step in creating a positive bias in our life, of course, is to diminish the effect of this negative bias. And again, look to the previous blog for some tips to do that. But we also want to start this process of creating a positive bias by preparing our brains and letting them know that we're going to be making a change, right? And this is all about being self-aware, being in the present moment, being aware of our own intentions as we go through life, which is always really important and really helpful to kind of say to ourselves and to our brains, hey, I'm going to make a change. This is going to happen. I'm going to stop focusing on so much negativity, and I'm going to start looking for what is positive and what is going right. The other reason why I want you to prepare your brain is because I want you to come to your brain with an open, compassionate dialogue, because I'm going to let you know that this process is not going to be easy. Your brain is not going to let go without a fight of this negative bias, right? It really believes that it needs to always be looking out for danger. And it's not going to change without some really hard work. And you might need some help along this path in changing from a negative to a positive bias, especially if you've had a lot of really difficult experiences in your life or you've had traumas. You might not be able to do this all by yourself, okay? And don't beat yourself up if you can't figure this out and make these changes in a couple of days. This is very difficult work, changing deeply embedded, entrenched biological imperatives in our brains, right, that are set to look for the negative. And to change those things is tough, right? And you might need the help of a therapist or a sponsor or a life coach or a spiritual counselor along the way. And that's absolutely okay too. Now, the first thing I want you to do, technique-wise and skill-wise, skill-building time, is I want you to start scheduling your worry time. This might sound odd at first, but it can be really helpful. You're basically making a compromise with your brain. You're saying, brain, I know you need to worry about stuff. I know you need to think about what happened in the past that was painful. So let me tell you what we're going to do. While I'm trying to create this positive bias, I'm not going to shut down all negativity all the time, because that would be too hard and too much for the brain to handle. But what I am going to do is I'm going to ask you, brain, to worry about everything you need to worry about at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, right? Pick a time to worry. Now, some people call this their angry time, their negativity time. I call it worry time because it seems to encompass a myriad of different negative emotions and ideas that we worry about all the time. But you can call it whatever you want. I call it worry time. Schedule your worry time for a neutral time in the day. Do not worry first thing in the morning. That will set you, off for a course for a very bad day. And plus in the morning, it's best if you get up and write your appreciation lists, right? And think about what's going right as soon as you wake up in the morning. Don't schedule your worry time for before you go to bed at night, because you won't ever be able to get to sleep, right? So we don't want to do that either. But try to schedule it in a neutral time in the day, in the afternoon maybe, when you can close your office door for a time, or when the kids are at school, sometime when you can kind of have some time to yourself. And when your worry time comes, use it wisely. Worry as much as you can. Honor the feelings that come up when you're worrying and ruminating about what happened in the past that felt painful, what you're worried about, what might happen in the future that could be dangerous to you or scary or painful. Make a worry list of all of the things that you need to worry about, right? And then you'll always have that list, and every time your worry time comes up in the day, you will know that you won't forget anything that you have to worry about. If anger comes up, honor the emotions that are there. We don't want to hurt anybody or hurt ourselves or hurt anything, but we can express our anger in a healthy way. We can scream into a pillow or throw pillows against the wall, right? If sadness comes up, honor that. Let yourself have a good cry. Really important. And then when your worry time is up, I usually say to people, give yourself an hour. And when the worry time is up, make that mindful choice to tell yourself, I'm done worrying now. This is over. I can worry again tomorrow. Wrap up the worry list, put it in a drawer, or put the pillows back on the couch, right? And then you can go about your day with much more freedom, knowing that even when the worries come up and the ruminative thoughts start to happen, you can more easily put a stop to them, not by saying, oh, I'm not allowed to think of that. Oh, I better put that away, and then struggling with how you're going to actually make those thoughts go away when all you can do is think about them. Instead, let's just put them in a different place and say, oh, I have my worry time for these thoughts, right? And I'm going to worry about these things when my worry time is here next. Then you'll have freedom in your day to be present, to be in the relationships that you're in a present, self-aware way, right? And to do and go about the work you need to do in a very easy, present state of mind. Which leads me to the next thing that is really important to master if we are going to create a positive bias, and that is cultivating the ability to be still and to have present moment awareness. Now, research shows that the people who are most still, who are able to still their minds and be still in their bodies and grounded in their bodies in the here and now. And this doesn't mean these are boring people, right? It just means they don't have a lot of chatter going on in their minds, and that they can be present and be around others no matter what's happening and no matter what's coming up, and they can just kind of flow with life and be in the flow of life because they are still internally. Those people are the happiest people. Research shows again and again, and of course it makes sense because first of all, these are people who have mastered diminishing their negative bias, right? Which of course feels good, but there's more to it than that. People who are able to be still, cultivate an inner sense of stillness, are able to create some space in their perception, which allows them to start to feel the connectedness that we all have to each other, to all the living things on this planet, and to the universe in general, right? And I'm not talking any new age, guru-y, weird stuff. We are literally connected to everything in the universe. We're made of the same materials that everything else in the universe is made of, right? Our genetic codes are this different than all of the genetic codes of all the other animals on the planet, right? We are definitely here all together, all interrelated and interconnected, of the same energy. And when we can find stillness in our everyday lives, we leave space so that we can begin to really perceive that connection, and it feels really good. First of all, it helps us to realize that we are small parts of a very big picture. We don't need to carry the weight of the world upon our shoulders. We don't need to solve everything and fix everything. We can just be, knowing that life is going to go on and we'll be okay, right? There is a bigger picture and a bigger organization to all of life that we don't have to be in charge of. We can relax. okay? And it can feel like a homecoming of sorts because we are all already connected. It's just that we lose that connection when our minds start, chattering and chattering and chattering away. So when we can reconnect, it feels really good. It feels like, oh, right, this is who I really am. And that's a good feeling. Now, mystics and spiritual leaders throughout the ages have also described this connectedness as love, right? So it might be that when you find stillness and you're able to cultivate stillness in your everyday life and be present and be grounded in your body in the present moment, you might not only find a sense of peace and a sense of relaxation and relief, but also some love too, which of course feels really good. Now there are a lot of techniques and ways to cultivate being still and being grounded in the present moment in your body, and we do not have time to go into some of those right now, but I will do a future blog that kind of outlines some of those techniques. The last thing I am going to say though before we go today is that another really important piece of creating a positive bias in your life is to make sure that you treat yourself to something special every day, that you celebrate yourself and you celebrate being alive. Life is really difficult and you're doing it. You're making it, right? So make sure to acknowledge that and appreciate yourself for the hard work that you do every day, to give yourself a little treat. Either let yourself have a piece of chocolate every day or take 15 minutes out of your busy schedule and go walk in the woods or be in nature, or take a break from your outside chore duties and come in and watch the football game. Whatever feels good for you, make sure that you take time for yourself and take time to treat yourself well, treat yourself with respect and compassion. It's so important. And sometimes when I say this, people say, oh, Holly, that's selfish, that's narcissistic. Why would I that sounds like me. Why would I spend time to treat myself? Shouldn't I be giving to others? And isn't that ultimately what feels the best? And I say, oh, it absolutely feels good to give to others. And when we first give to ourselves and we create this positive bias within ourselves and we feel good and we're full of love and compassion, then we automatically become givers. Imagine a world in which every single person felt really good inside, felt full of love and compassion and caring, right? We're able to celebrate themselves and celebrate everybody else. What an amazing world that would be. And your job is to create that positive bias within yourself. Find ways to feel good yourself so that you can be that light in the world for others. Thank you for joining me today. I hope you have a wonderful day. Remember to schedule your worry time, practice being still and in the present moment, and treat yourself to something special today. I'm Holly Daniels. May inner peace be with you.